right, Psalm 42. Let's call this one Waiting All Day. In this psalm that starts out with a very famous passage in verse 1, as a deer pants for flowing streams, so pants my soul for you, O God. That's going to be an important anchor for what's going on in this famous psalm that has been turned into, in some circles, a relatively famous song. But practically, it's going to represent an anchor for the sons of Korah, not David this time, as they seem to come to an end in this psalm that doesn't really resolve itself with a happy ending. But as we continue, verse 2, they're going to say, my soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God, seeming to represent some limitation on their ability to go back and worship God in the way that they seem to have been accustomed. Verse 3, my tears have been my food day and night, while they say to me all the day long. Thus the title, All Day, where is your God? And the title All Day came to mind because in certain sports, when an enemy or an opponent has identified a mismatch in your defense or your game that you have a problem fixing, they will sometimes scream out, all day, understanding that they found a void that you can't fix before this game is going to be over. Therefore, they have found a weakness that they will not only be able to exploit all day, but quite possibly taunt you about all day, which is the situation that the sons of Korah seem to find themselves in, as they will go on to say, during this time of waiting, they remember when they were able to go back and find joy in the presence of God. And once again, they're going to go on to ask a relatively famous question in verse 5 when they say, why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God. And it's not going to be the last time that the psalmist asks that question, because in verse 11, once again, it is going to say, why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God. An encouragement the psalmist offers himself after he once again notices in verse 10 his adversaries, as with a deadly wound in my bones, my adversaries taunt me, while they say to me all the day long, where is your God? Understanding that, it reminded me of times past, a story that I've told before, from the pulpit at least, even if not in our short lessons, of a time when I sat while a man berated me with the lesson. And how did I know? Well, because I took him out to lunch after to ask, brother, was that about me? To which he responded, yes, it was about you. So we got a chance to break in peace, even if we did not come to a complete agreement as to whether or not that was the proper forum in which to take up that disagreement. But this I noticed, that in that time of taunting, or at least as it felt like taunting to me, God helped me see all of the different things that man was missing in that passage that he was preaching that day. And it reminded me of other times I've gotten to see situations in which we as preachers can get preoccupied with the people that we are talking to at the expense of missing what's going on in the passage that we are preaching. And for that reason, when the psalm starts off, as a deer pants for flowing streams, so pants my soul for you, O God. Understanding the wisdom that in this psalmist's time of desperation, he's thirsting for God, even though his enemies seem to be thirsty to rub it into him. One of the things he can probably take encouragement in the psalm that we said otherwise doesn't really seem to offer a whole lot of happy endings, is the fact that his enemies, in seeming to be thirsty to rub it in, seem to be wasting time. And so over time, as I have seen and also felt the temptation to make a message personal, I pray that we can overcome the temptation to make lessons that may actually be more akin to assaults or insults to people. But to the degree that we might have to sit under insults even all day, I pray that we understand that, much like Samson, while he was taunted by the Philistines, grew a level of strength that caught them off guard. Or Elijah, in fleeing from Jezebel's taunts, ended up in a cave waiting to a point where God showed up to help him go anoint his reinforcements. Or even something as simple as the disciples, when after Christ was crucified and they were completely confused as to how this fit in what God was planning to do, one of them, I think it was Peter, simply said, I'm going fishing. At which point God or Christ showed up. And so much like they might have learned, my prayer for you is my prayer for me. May we lead the kind of lives that would encourage God to strengthen us in some surprising ways, even as our enemies might taunt all day.